Welcome to your first Fact Check Friday. Yeah, that's right. CTV's loss was the National Observer's gain. And now I'll be doing these fact checks for you every week of the election campaign, alongside my pal Emily Barron-Kadloff. Don't you love a happy ending? I sure do. Anyways, let's hop to it. Emily and I have 3 fact checks for you this week. First up, does Donald Trump endorse Mark Carney, as Pierre Poilievre has repeatedly said?
It's clear that Mr. Trump continues to want to have Mark Carney as Prime Minister.
The verdict on that one is false. On Fox News, US President Donald Trump spoke to Laura Ingraham about Canada. And when Ingraham suggested to Trump that a Liberal win could make the Canadian government more hostile to the US, Trump repeatedly said, "I don't care." Now, Trump did say that the Liberals might be, quote, easier to deal with. And he also called Poilievre, quote, no friend of mine, and said he was, quote, not a MAGA guy.
A conservative that's running is stupidly no friend of mine. I don't know him, but he said negative things. So when he says negative things, I couldn't care less. I think it's easier to deal, actually, with a Liberal. And maybe they're going to win, but I don't really care. It doesn't matter to me at all.
So that could be what Poilievre is using as the grain of reality that has been warped into this overall false claim. Meanwhile, a prominent member of Trump's team has been vocally supportive of Pierre Poilievre, even going so far as to outright endorse him, Elon Musk. But overall, Trump hasn't endorsed anyone for Prime Minister. In fact, he said that Canada is a, quote, nasty country to deal with. Ouch! And that he ultimately doesn't care who wins the election. So yeah, this is false. Next! Are the Conservatives going to cut dental care, childcare, and workers' rights, as NDP leader Jagmeet Singh claimed on the campaign trail this week?
Pierre Poilievre thinks that you weather a storm on your own. Fend for yourself. He believes in cutting the services that people need, cutting childcare, cutting healthcare. He thinks that you should cut workers' rights.
The verdict here? Misleading. Poilievre has said he will protect dental care and child care. Specifically, he said that nobody who has them right now will lose them. That said, he hasn't committed to honoring planned expansions of programs like dental care. And he also talked about getting rid of, quote, red tape when it comes to child care, but he didn't clarify what exactly that means. As for Singh's claims about Poilievre's approach to workers' rights, this is a bit more sticky. Over a decade ago, as a Harper-era MP, Poilievre voted in favor of legislation that labor groups called anti-union. He also voted to increase the eligibility age for old age security. But today, Poilievre says his thinking has, quote, evolved. He promised not to bring forward any anti-union legislation. He's spoken publicly about supporting unionized workers, and he's gotten some union endorsements. That said, he's also endorsed by Merit Canada, a group representing non-unionized construction workers who praised Poilievre for his commitment to cut, quote, needless overregulation. The 2023 CPC policy declaration also lays out support for, quote, right-to-work legislation, which is usually anti-union and makes it easier to fire people. Poilievre has also been denounced by several unions, with CUPE calling a conservative government a, quote, disaster for workers' rights. So yeah, Singh's claims here are misleading. Not totally wrong, but not totally right either. Next! Pierre Poilievre keeps saying that Mark Carney supports something called the Century Initiative, which is a charity that has the goal of seeing Canada's population hit 100 million people by the year 2100.
By bringing on Mr. Wiseman, it shows that Mark Carney supports the Liberal Century Initiative to nearly triple our population to 100 million people.
Poilievre has, in speaking about this, said that Carney is a corporate elite who is advocating for radical globalist ideology.
They followed a radical globalist ideology of massive, uncontrolled population growth that put strain on our housing market, our healthcare, and our job market. Now, corporate elites like Mr. Wiseman and Mr. Carney loved it.
The verdict here? This is misleading. The backing for this claim is that Carney did appoint Mark Wiseman to his advisory council on Canada-US relations. And Wiseman is the board chair of the Century Initiative. But Carney's team has stressed that Wiseman doesn't advise the Liberal leader and current Prime Minister on immigration. On top of that, Carney has said that current caps on immigration should remain in place, and that he has no plans to increase immigration until we've, quote, expanded housing and we've, quote, reabsorbed the levels of immigration that have happened in our country. As for the Liberal Party more broadly, they did vote against a Bloc Québécois motion in 2023 that asked the House to reject the Century Initiative. Though, that was before Carney was leader. So yeah, we're slapping this one with a misleading verdict. That's it for your first Fact Check Friday. Head over to the National Observer website where my colleague Emily posts her work, which very helpfully informs my work every Tuesday and Friday. And I'll see you next Friday for your fact check. Until then, you can send tips to factcheck@nationalobserver.com. What do you think of all this?